Biden campaign and its allies are attempting to snag young and old voters by luring them in with really important things, policies like affordable, no, I'm just kidding, beer and pickleball, respectively. Now, let's start with the youth who Biden is in deep trouble with, thanks to, the US's involvement in aiding and abetting what's happening in Gaza, the slaughter of innocent people. The Washington Post reports that a group of Democratic donors want to make politics look different in the 7 or so states that will decide the presidency, like a dance party, a comedy show, or a place to chill out. Sometimes there will be free beer, manicures, boot shines. Who the hell is looking for a boot shine? Like, what is this? Okay, a rent check sweepstakes. Ooh, you might be able to do a raffle to see if you could get 1 month of your rent paid. Handout of contraceptive pills or cooling towels. Oh, and someone might mention voting at some point. I feel like voters have been pretty clear about what they want from Biden. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Biden's not getting the message, but honestly, this really reminds me of when you've worked really hard and you've accomplished like some big revenue goal for the company and you get rewarded with a pizza party. Like, what is this? This is like, just listen to what the people want. Like, it's not 2008 anymore. It's a different era. Like, I just don't understand how this is what they're gonna turn to lure voters into the Democratic Party or to convince voters to vote for Biden. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do get persuaded by this kind of stuff. What do you think?
I don't know about you, Anna, but I do miss those days when I was in a more corporate job. And whenever it was somebody's birthday, we'd get the sheet cake out, go to the conference room, cut some sheet cake, drink some Coca-Cola, take 30 minutes off in the day. It was just great. Just, like 18 people around a conference room table, just waiting to get their hands on some Doritos. It was excellent. I miss those days, Anna.
Well, look, to be fair, I mean, every time that would happen, I would immediately forget about how much I wanted a raise, or a bonus.
Look, it's funny because Hillary Clinton ran the most supersized version of this playbook in 2016 in the state of Ohio specifically. I will never forget this because it intersects with my job. One, she had like a Beyonce concert. LeBron James was stumping in the whole state. It was full court press of celebrity. John Legend, who's an Ohio native. It was just all of it, right? And the reason I remember is because in 2016, LeBron James won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was the city's first championship since 1943 or something like that. So it had been 70 years since that city enjoyed a major championship in any sport. And LeBron James had just delivered it. They got Beyonce, I'm like, oh my God, like, wow. Like they really pulled out the stops. She lost Ohio. She lost Ohio. She lost Ohio. It's like, what do they think? Why do they think something like this would work?
I'll tell you why. Yeah, I distinctly remember the 2008 election. And that was the first time, I was already working at TYT, and that was the first time I attended the conventions. The Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention. The DNC was super star-studded. And so if you remember the Obama camp, it was like celebrity rollouts everywhere.
God, yeah.
But I think it's a mistake to think that that was what got Obama elected.
Right.
What got Obama elected was the fact that he was a charismatic speaker, the fact that he understood that when campaigning, you want to speak to the economic concerns of Americans. Campaign Obama was very different from President Obama. Just go back and watch his speeches. That was what appealed to voters. The campaign strategy for Hillary Clinton was a disaster, a complete disaster. She's not that charismatic candidate. She didn't know how to speak to the economic concerns of Americans. And As a result of that, I guess she just thought maybe the celebrity stuff, the celebrity endorsements might do some heavy lifting, but clearly that just didn't work. And look, in the case of Hillary Clinton, she was running against a celebrity, right? And I totally underestimated the celebrity of Donald Trump because I didn't watch The Apprentice and I didn't really think of Donald Trump as like, ooh, a celebrity to get excited about. But a lot of Americans did.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I totally underestimated that. So let's go to some more of the Biden camp's ideas here. So the idea is basically to reach generally liberal young people who aren't as politically informed as some of their counterparts, some of their peers. So Kevin Mack, the lead strategist for the Voter Project, recently took over a community center in Philadelphia with talks for artists, opportunities to meet people, and most notable, a raffle that gave away 1 month of rent to people who checked their voter registration. So it's a raffle. It doesn't mean that everyone who did this was going to get 1 month of rent taken care of. But in the way that they're kind of forming this, it's clear that they understand the economic anxieties that Americans are dealing with. So I think a more robust policy proposal from Biden on that matter would be far more effective than doing a raffle to get potentially 1 month of your rent taken care of. And if you're wondering if it's legal, because you can't buy people's votes, election law states that you cannot give away anything of value in exchange for a vote or for voter registration. However, you can give away stuff to encourage voting or civic participation in general. And so continuing with that youth outreach, in Phoenix, a group called Vote for Abortion drove around the city in a bus handing out free emergency contraceptives and feminine hygiene products to create buzz for a midday concert by Lauren, by a musical artist. Are you familiar with this artist? Was no? Okay, good.
What's the name of the artist? Lauren Jareji?
I think so.
Nope.
Sounds like a catch. By the way, I don't mean to put her down. She might be amazing, right? I haven't heard of her. With DJs and appearances by local influencers and the actress Busy Phillips.
I think that's Bruce Willis's daughter. Am I making? Oh no, that's Roma Willis. Forget it.
Biden's name was not central to that pitch. Okay, and then other groups are exploring the idea of early morning raves near early voting spots in states like Pennsylvania. I mean, who doesn't want to go to a rave with a bunch of Biden supporters? I'm just kidding. No, it might actually be super fun, but I don't know about early morning rave. Like, people got to work. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to work out. Older voters, they're trying to get their attention with other things. And look, Biden isn't really underwater with older voters as much as he is with younger voters. So this is crazy because typically when you think of young voters, they gravitate toward the more liberal, Democrat in the race. In this upcoming general election, polling indicates that there's like a 50-50 split in the youth vote between Biden and Trump. So that's definitely a cause for concern. Bleak, man, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this.
This is insane. I mean, like, did you see, first of all, the idea that you're paying people's rent means that the campaign understands like the importance of that specific issue. And it's just Biden's economic message is like, you guys are too stupid to understand how good I've made this economy for you.
Yes, dude, he needs to stop with that. He needs to stop with that. It's all it does is infuriate people because they know what their economic situation is. Okay, you can lie till the cows come home. You can manipulate the statistics as much as you can. You could talk about inflation slowing. Inflation slowing means that inflation is still happening month after month after month. It's just that the amount that prices have gone up has slowed, but they're still going up. Okay, they're still going up. People are still struggling. I just can't believe that nothing is being done, but there's very obvious policy issues that Biden could be tackling aggressively right now, okay? That includes the cost of childcare. That includes the cost of housing. And when I say cost of housing, give us a real solution. Don't talk about how you're gonna, offer up a couple $100 to first-time homeowners or for home buyers. That's gonna make no difference in the root cause of the problem, which is the lack of inventory. If anything, providing more money to people who are looking to buy homes is gonna further inflate the cost of housing. It's not gonna do anything about the root problem, which is the lack of housing. It's just and then people get mad because it's like, oh, but you don't say negative things about Biden because Trump will win and Trump is such a threat. Biden is not acting like Trump is a threat.
Give us some great things to talk about so we could look past, some of the shortcomings. It's just, what is he doing right now? Like right now, what is he doing that you could, if you're an American, you're just like, man, he's working on my behalf on X, Y, and Z. Like he's trying to get this through. What's the last thing these guys have been trying to get through Congress, by the way?
Funding for Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel.
When's the last time they was like, oh man, Joe Manchin won't let me get this thing through for the American people? I think
like 3 years ago.
It's in
2 or 3 years ago.
Think about that, man. It's nuts. Yeah. Or he's like, yo, I got this new executive order that's gonna help the people. Like nothing. And yet we hear is that Trump is gonna come in with the unchecked power and do whatever he wants. So
look, there was one of the more recent executive orders where he wouldn't allow. So he's changing the rules so medical debt doesn't show up on credit reports.
Okay.
Sure, that's good, I guess.
Oh no, and then he was kicking the immigrants out at the border. That was one of his. He was renewing the Trump border policy as a executive order. But again,
that will be struck down in the courts for sure because it's the same 2018 Trump order that got struck down in the courts. So it's just a way to signal to Americans who are worried about the migrant crisis that he's doing something about it.
He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And Tyler Perry, did you see what Tyler Perry had to grab his shoulder to kind of wake him up at that little campaign thing? Like they were, and he seemed to be in a daze, and Tyler Perry he didn't want to shake him. He just grabbed his shoulder, massaged it. And Joe was like, oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see at the DNC if Biden's really gonna be the candidate because
this is nuts.
There's a growing number of people who are like, this cannot happen. We need someone who's actually gonna be able to compete against Trump. I don't know who they're gonna choose.
And I don't think people would have a problem with a new candidate. And I don't think people would be like, oh no, this is crazy. What are they doing? People are like, oh shit, what does this guy think? Word. What's he gonna do for me?
I don't know how Democrats are gonna react to that. But I can't help but feel that there's something. I'm of two minds on it because I think Biden is crazy to run for re-election and I'm almost certain that Trump would win. So I want someone who could actually compete against Donald Trump. But at the same time, let's keep it real. There's something super undemocratic about it, right?
Yeah.
But there was something super undemocratic about the Democratic primary process to begin with. So I guess either way, I'm gonna feel pretty grossed out by how everything kind of came together, whether Biden is replaced or not. Yeah. But there's also the potential backlash from Kamala supporters if Kamala isn't the candidate that's going to replace Biden.
Kamala doesn't have supporters.
She might.
She does not have supporters, dude.
There was a recent poll.
Nobody likes her.
I wish I had it in front of me, but there was a recent poll showing the support for Kamala Harris versus Gavin Newsom versus Gretchen Whitmer. There were a bunch of other potential replacements for Biden. And coming in at number one, believe it or not, with 40% of voters supporting her was Kamala Harris, which shocked me.
She is the most famous one of all of them, having been the first lady for the past 4 years. But yeah, that would be a disaster.
It's pretty
grim. Another thing, it's this guy is one heartbeat away from being gone, from being toast. And then we get President Kamala Harris. Bleak, just grim.